And this is part 5 of our series on the heart. So this time we're going to talk about the valves, which I want you to think of the valves of the heart as the doors of the heart, right? So we talked about some of these other techniques in like video 4, right? So the previous video. So one of the big ideas was that we had these. Let's go ahead and erase. Nope, wrong thing. Go. There we go. So one of the things that we were talking about was that the heart has 4 chambers, right? And so chambers, think of like a room, right? They are rooms for blood and blood motion. And so to each one of the like rooms, right, we have doors. And these are the valves. Here's a valve. Here's a valve. Like here's a valve over here. And then here, the other valve. But anyway, so let's just work it. So for the most part, they're just named on where they are and where the blood is coming from or going to. So for this one, we are crossing the right atrium. Here's the right atrium and the right ventricle. So like, guess what you would name this one? The right AV valve, right? The right atrioventricular valve. The valves are kind of neat because the doors are open and shut in a really strange way. So if you look at this like kind of like white kind of connective tissue that the valve is made out of, it's really flexible. It feels like, when we're talking about this idea that the inside of the heart feels like a puck. Well, this feels like a flippy, flappy part. And it's, if you can also look down here, there's these like marionette strings that are attached right here to these, what we call parts of the trabecular carne. So these are papillary muscles, like or papillary, should be used on whatever side of the palm. And papillary means like finger, right? Like finger. Where is papillary? Oh, there it is, right there. Right, so they're like a finger-like muscle. And so when this big meaty myocardium of the ventricles contracts and relaxes, it actually contracts and relaxes and pulls on these little fingers. And these little fingers then thusly pull on the strings, right, causing these doors or these valves to open or to close, right? Like a relaxed like valve means that these fingers kind of are loose around the tendons, and so they're able to like kind of allow this valve to slap shut. But when they are flexed and stressed, they want the blood to come in, and they open, and they pull back, and they have this huge, nice, roomy chamber for that. So there's the right atrioventricular valve. I'm going to guess what this one's going to be called. This is the left atrioventricular, because here's the atrium on the left side, and here's the ventricle on the left side, right? And so those would be... And those valves work, like the same way for the most part. They have the marionette strings. What's different, a little bit different, are another type of, pulmonary valve. And this looks more like the valves you actually see, like in your leg veins, like leg veins and veins throughout the body generally. Okay, so where they actually kind of like pull on themselves, and they have this little space between them. And they're pressure based, right? So they naturally have kind of a rigid enough structure that they want to slap shut. But if there's enough like force of blood coming through them, that will push them open, and then the blood can flow through. And so that's how those types of valves are going to work. Right. I can talk about a few other things. This one's really hard, and it's just so hard to show. But there's also a valve here. So I don't know if I can draw this, but let me see if I can get. What's a good color? Okay, so like down here is like this exit valve, and you gotta imagine it going underneath what you're looking at here with the pulmonary valve and everything. It actually goes like under this part, and it pushes the blood that's been oxygenated to its final destination. And there's a little valve right here, and that's like the aortic valve, and it looks like the same for the most part, for all intents and purposes, as the pulmonary valve. It's just down here, kind of off to the corner. And I can tell you, this is like one of the most like hardest valves to visualize because of the way we always do the cutaway of the heart. Because the heart actually is like a spiral, right? And so it's just not something that lends itself well to just, becoming bisected straight down. So there's the aortic valve down here, just right here. And it's the valve that takes oxygen-rich blood from the left ventricle, pushing it out to the body. And it actually has this like huge amount of pressure. So there's just a lot of pressure to open up the aortic valve, right? So if you were to like nick somebody right here on the aorta, right here, the blood could spurt out like 6 feet or more. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. So that's a pretty strong valve to keep shut. I think that's kind of its case for the valves. Yeah, okay. All right. So we're good. So I hope that's helpful, and we'll hop into the next video.